and getting ourselves ready to go and feeling, obviously confident that we'll be able to play. It's really an amazing feat.
This is the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick and Mike Dempsey have all the news and information you need to get you ready for today's game. The Publix Tailgate Show is brought to you by Baptist Health, Farah and Farah, Geico, and by TIAA Bank. Now to get things started, here are Mike Dempsey and JP Shadrick.
And after an off-season of virtual meetings, social distancing, and in general uncertainty, somehow we have arrived at kickoff weekend of the National Football League. Today, the 26th season in franchise history begins as the Jacksonville Jaguars entertain the division rival Indianapolis Colts. Kickoff coming up at TIAA Bank Field at 1 o'clock Eastern, and today's game is presented by TIAA Bank. Created to serve, built to perform. Welcome into the Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick, along with Mike Dempsey at the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park Studio at TIAA Bank Field, and here we are playing some football.
Man, didn't it feel like it snuck up on everybody, right? With no preseason games, that is one thing. You just don't get that rhythm of here comes the season, and JP, there's no preseason for the pregame show. We are ready. We're in mid-season form right off the bat. Looking forward to it.
No doubt. This is obviously the strangest offseason we've seen in the National Football League. All the virtual meetings, no on-field work in the offseason until training camp, and then the daily testing continues at this time in the NFL. But the players, the personnel, the coaches have done a fantastic job to make sure we can even get here.
Yeah, the sports world's done a pretty good job in general, right? And the NFL has had the benefit of learning from some of these other organizations and how they've done it and how they've dealt with the little flare-ups of COVID-19. So, hey, let's hope, man, that we have uninterrupted football. I never doubted that opening weekend would go off without a hitch. It's beyond this what happens, but I'm pretty optimistic based on the way Major League Baseball and the NBA and hockey have handled things.
Yeah, the college football game's a bit different because of the environment around the players.
That's
much
right.
Different. So,
right, you're not living on a campus with 30,000 of your best 18 to 21-year-old friends who don't always have the proper self-restraint.
That's true. Weather is a little bit of an issue today here in Jacksonville. Currently 79 degrees and rain. There's a 60% chance of rain between now and kickoff. There was some thunder and lightning this morning. Let's hope that stays away as well. Let's get to today's top stories and start off with this young football team. The Jaguars had 30 rookies in training camp. 16 of those rookies made the final cut to 53, and GM Dave Caldwell believes in the group and says to give them a chance.
Before we decide where we are or where we stand, let us play some games, and let's see where we are, and let's see how these young guys are. And I know the 53 players in this locker room are excited to be here and are excited for their ability to go out there and put a good brand of football out there.
That's a lot of young players on a roster, of course. Now, 30 players of the 53, at least a few days ago, were entering their third year in the league or less.
Right.
That's pretty young.
Oh, it's extremely young. And look, a couple of themes here. They are getting younger, but they're also, as Dave Caldwell said, you got 53 players that are happy to be here. That's been a theme a little bit with the offseason, and finding guys that want to be all about this team, in this city, in this market, and pulling together for one common cause. We'll find out, JP. I mean, 16 is a ridiculously high amount of rookies, but I think Dave Caldwell's right. We've all speculated on what kind of season they're going to have. We've heard every kind of possibility about what's going on, but now it doesn't matter anymore. In 3 hours, they're going to kick this thing off, and as Bill Parcells once said, you are what your record says you are, so it doesn't matter about whatever speculation we put out there. Their play is going to determine how good they are this season.
Of course, we have now arrived at opening day, and there's much to maneuver through to get to training camp, but once arriving on the practice field this summer, there have been some major changes to the team. Is head coach Doug Marrone excited or anxious about opening week?
All the things that you're looking for, that you're kind of checking off the box, things that may cause you anxiety. We've worked extremely hard about, discipline. We've worked extremely hard on penalties. We've worked extremely hard in, not turning the ball over and creating turnovers. So, we put a lot of time in this, and it's been reflective in the practice. Now, when you go out there and play, you expect that to carry over, but that doesn't always happen. But so I guess for me, I'm really excited. There's guys that have worked and created breaks for themselves, or maybe didn't come into this league or come into this team the way they wanted to. But now they have this opportunity.
The optimistic Doug Marrone, he's excited, and that's what you expect the head coach to say going into an opening day, to be excited for his football team.
Why not, right? I mean, look, if you look at the big picture over the last 5 years, they've handled the Colts here in Jacksonville. They beat them in Week 17 last year. Now, granted, vastly different roster for each of these teams, right? The Colts have changed some major components with Phillip Rivers, DeForest Buckner, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, among others out there. But the Jags are different as well. Look, it's opening day. Anything is still possible for every team in the National Football League. And I think Jaguar fans, while they may have some trepidation about how this season is going to go, JP, I'm excited for them to see what Jay Gruden's offense looks like.
Absolutely.
What does C.J. Henderson and Kayvon Chason bring as a couple of first-round picks? You know, is this offensive line going to be as improved as seemingly everyone on the coaching staff wants to tell us it is? So there are plenty of reasons to be excited here.
In the wake of some different players forcing their way out of the organization or moving on and then voicing some displeasure to the Jaguars socially, defensive end Josh Allen went to Twitter this week and said he was proud to be a Jacksonville Jaguar, and he was asked about that this week and his commitment to the organization.
I want the city to know that they have a guy that's passionate about this team, that's passionate about this city, and that's passionate about all these teammates, coaches, and everybody included. Like I said, I'm all in, man, and I feel like my teammates know that, and hope Duval knows that, and man, hopefully I can be here for a very long time and change this and help change the franchise now, next year, 3 years, 10 years, who knows how long. But I just want to leave a big impact on the city, and that's what I wanted to be remembered as.
Jalen Ramsey, of course, traded last year, and we've had all the changes that have happened in the last few weeks around here as well. And some of those players have gone out on social media very publicly and taken some shots. It is refreshing to hear that type of perspective from Josh Allen.
And from DJ Chark as well, and
yes.
I think from Gardner Minshew, and you got to hear that. He's your quarterback, so he's your leader from that standpoint, but I think most people would say right now the two players that they feel the best about are Josh Allen and DJ Chark, emerging potential stars in this league, and to hear them speak as forcefully as they have about this team, this community, it's a massive breath of fresh air for Jaguar fans who put up with way too much of the other stuff.
You mentioned Minshew, and earlier you talked about Jay Gruden and this new offense, but how will this offense look? It starts with Minshew, of course, triggering all the playmakers around. There was an offense last year that struggled to score points, but Minshew is only looking forward.
Every year's a new year. I think every team's a new team. I don't think years past really have anything to do with like this current season. So I'm excited for the opportunity that we have. I think we have a lot of guys that can make plays, and I think when we talk about attacking and attacking in different ways, that's getting different people involved. You know, having multiple guys get touches. We got a lot of guys that are really good with the ball in their hands. So I think as long as we get those guys their touches, spread it out even, then that's how we'll be able to attack and get in the end zone more.
We all saw what Minshew was doing in this offseason, at least on social media, going down to the quarterback gurus and getting a lot of extra work in. He just looks a little more trim. Well, not more trim. Like he's been in the weight room a little bit, which is good. A little more toned, I'd say. And it's good. Year two, he's the starting quarterback going into camp for the first time since high school.
Well, look, if he doesn't succeed in this opportunity as a starter, it's not because of lack of preparation. He's obviously realizing, look, as a sixth-round pick, to be given or earn the starting job in your second year, that's not something to be expected. You got to take advantage of that opportunity. It may not come around again for Gardner Minshew if he doesn't get it done this time. And look, the weapons are around him. I think we feel good about this wide receiver core. You know, they had one of their best offensive games last year when Leonard Fournette was not in the lineup. So the hope is with a mix of different guys, putting more on Gardner's shoulders with an improved offensive line, that this offense can take a big step forward. But he's going to have to go out and prove it.
No Leonard Fournette, as you just mentioned. So enter undrafted rookie James Robinson. And yes, he could start today's game. It's an amazing ascension for him. He was in the East-West Shrine game this year, which is really 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounders or undrafted players. A lot of those guys go to that All-Star game. He was a star of that game, was not the MVP, but he had a fantastic day that day. Now he's at the top of the depth chart for the Jacksonville Jaguars. At running back, and offensive coordinator Jay Gruden explained part of the reason why.
He's a no-nonsense guy. He really is. He is. I try to get under his skin a little bit. I ask him if he's nervous every day. He is a very poised individual, no nonsense. He's ready to go. You know, we'll see when Sunday hits, the first time we give him the ball, the first time there's a 3rd and 1 or we got to get a yard, we'll see how he does. But we have every indication that we've seen in training camp that he can handle it. He can handle the workload. He's tough. He's strong. He's got great vision. He can explode through holes. We've been impressed with him. Unfortunately, we haven't had the preseason games to really look at him in live situations. We got a couple in practice, but they're still not the same. But I feel very confident in his demeanor and his approach to the game that he will be ready.
Well, let's throw him out there and see, rookie.
Well, guess what? The Colts haven't gotten any preseason film on him either, right? So that's not bad. Look, we've seen undrafted free agent running backs come into the league. Phillip Lindsay, one of the most recent examples. Go back not too long ago, Arian Foster was a multiple-time league-leading rusher as an undrafted player at the position. It can happen, but it is interesting that James Robinson is only going to be the 4th undrafted rookie to start at running back for his team since the AFL-NFL merger back in the day. And if he goes over 45 yards, he'll set the undrafted rookie opening day rushing mark among all those guys. So not a high bar as far as that goes. But look, JP, this is a guy that I'm really intrigued to see because, when I'm on the air is when the Jaguars were practicing during training camp. And typically we'd take our show out there, but with COVID-19, I haven't had that opportunity. So this will be the first chance for me to really put eyeballs on James Robinson and find out what he's capable of doing.
All right, we've focused on the offense. Coming up a little later on the Publix Tailgate Show, we'll get on the defensive side for the Jacksonville Jaguars. A lot of changes over there this year, including a new middle linebacker. The Jaguars Game Day radio broadcast is presented by ViStar Credit Union. If you believe free checking is better, join ViStar. That's checking with no fees and no minimums. No kidding. At ViStar, they never forget that it's your money. It has been a wild year, of course, but certainly in the medical community. For Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan of Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute, it is compounded when trying to help facilitate an NFL team through the pandemic. And he explains how the offseason went and what to expect in the weeks ahead. How are you, Doc?
I'm doing great. It's great to get this season started. What a very eventful offseason, unfortunately, right?
That's a word for it. There was a lot that happened between the last time this Jags team took the field and today. What has been the greatest challenge for a head team physician during that time, really from March until opening day?
I think it's just trying to get the organization together in terms of how we needed to adjust everything. And the biggest fear for me was getting through an off season where we really didn't see our players and then bringing them back into the building and really worrying about all the things that we usually worry about, but magnified, meaning the soft tissue injuries, whether or not they've been training and able to train as hard and then bringing them back. And I think Coach Marrone and the athletic training staff has really done an excellent job in really getting these guys reacclimated to the regular season training that we needed to do. But that was my biggest concern, and the biggest hurdle, I think, was making sure we got these guys ready to play, hoping that we were actually going to get to play.
Dr. Kevin Kaplan with us. Once you get to training camp, all the protocols are different, testing every day for players and top-tier staff around the Jaguars. And it sounds like that's going to continue for a little while, right?
I think that's the best way to stay safe throughout the regular season. Getting regular tests affords us the ability to see if someone is negative for 3 days, and then for, God forbid someone gets it, and we're going to catch it relatively quickly. If we switch to something more on a, every week base, once a week, then someone could say get the virus on a Friday and then not know it and pass it to a lot of people, and that's how an outbreak could happen. We've been very fortunate in terms of around the league having very low numbers. And I think other than, somewhat annoying having something put into your nose and both nostrils on a daily basis, it really does afford us and the players and the fans and to have the ability to have football. And that's, I think, something that we sorely need, something to watch. And I'm excited about being able to watch these guys get back after it.
Yeah, that'll be the trick moving ahead, though, when you start interacting teams and traveling to different parts of the country. You kind of keep it contained if you're staying in your own city, but then you throw some guys together. I think that's the next thing that we're keeping our fingers crossed about after games, days following games.
Certainly, and I think the players are really being smart. If you look at players and there's certainly, we're not in a bubble like the NBA, and they're really doing an excellent job, and they all want to play, and they know the seriousness of an infection like this and what that could mean. And even on the road, they're really doing a good job in setting up the rules. We're not going to be sitting in a big meal room all together and eating together. We're going to go there later, and we're going to grab our meals and go to our rooms and somewhat stay isolated. And I think that's important, and I think that's the way that we're going to get through this together as a team.
Well, Doc, we've made it to opening day, and let's make it to the playoffs. How about that? The Super Bowl this year. That would be nice.
That's the goal. That's the goal every year, right? So I'm excited about game one, and can't wait to see how it's going to look with fewer fans, unfortunately, and in some places without fans, which is going to be extremely strange. But look forward to the season. I'm excited to be back.
And we will talk to you again next week, Doc. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's Dr. Kevin Kaplan, Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute, with us, and we're just getting started on the Publix Tailgate Show. We'll return with CBS Sports play-by-play man Spiro Ditas. He'll give us insight to the logistics of calling an NFL game on television this year, plus his early thoughts on the AFC South, of which he calls many games in this division, of course. Colts Jaguars coming up, and from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Dreamfinders Homes has a simple commitment to their home buyers. Deliver unsurpassed quality, uncompromising value, and an extraordinary level of customization you simply won't find with other home builders. With over 40 communities to choose from, you'll find a location you love and the home of your dreams. Dreamfinders has townhomes, single-family homes, and custom estate homes starting from the high 100s and a wide selection of move-in ready homes. Quality, value, customization. That's the Dreamfinders difference. Call 904-738-0165 or online at dreamfindershomes.com. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prices subject to change without notice. Equal housing opportunity.
Now more than ever, the Jaguars want to recognize our fans and everything you do to make football, well, football. As part of the NFL Fan of the Year contest, the Jaguars are searching for one extraordinary Jaguars fan whose positive influence inspires others in Northeast Florida through their love of the game. You can win a trip to Super Bowl 55. Visit NFL.com/Fan of the Year now to nominate yourself or others for a chance to win.
For over 20 years, TIAA Bank Field has teamed up with Siemens to provide a next-level game day experience for Jaguars fans. From lighting, safety systems, and keeping our fans cool, to helping power up our massive video boards, Siemens solutions ensure our venue stays in peak condition. Now with their powerful cloud-based software solution, MindSphere, sensors in our field monitor moisture, fertilization, and temperature data to get to the root of the problem before they become real problems for our turf. Just like our team, we're working together to unlock our potential and get the win. Siemens, ingenuity for life. At Jacksonville International Airport, the health and safety of travelers is their #1 priority. They're doing everything they can to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, from adhering to CDC cleaning guidelines, requiring facial coverings in the terminal, and encouraging social distancing at every point of the airport experience. For a comprehensive look at what the airport, airlines, and their shops, restaurants, and rental cars are doing to keep passengers safe, please visit jacksairportcares.com to learn more.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
The best thing about working at Fair & Farah is all of the employees. We all work together. It's extremely enjoyable to come to work every day.
There's a common cause or goal. No matter what your job is, we're all there for the client.
We are dedicated to our clients 100%. We do everything it takes to maximize the value of their claims.
Fair & Farah is really the Farah family. When they choose us, they choose a family to fight for them and to protect them and to make sure that they're in a good place and that they have somebody on their side.
Farah & Farah, here for you, here for good. Jacksonville.
Jaguars Game Day is presented by ViStar Credit Union. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park studio at TIAA Bank Field. The Publix Tailgate show rolls along. Colts Jaguars at 1 o'clock on kickoff weekend. This portion of the Publix Tailgate show is brought to you by your Southern Ford dealers. And, we touched on it with Dr. Kaplan there, but all the moving parts to medically get this thing going, from the head athletic trainer, the training staff for the Jaguars, to the team physician, and then on the front office side as well. It's a totally different world over here in terms of getting in this side of the building. The football side are tiered differently, but it's taken all the planning and everything to get to this point. There's a lot of people behind the scenes.
Well, there's taking all that planning, but it also takes 100% buy-in, right? All it takes is one or two people doing the wrong thing and exposing themselves unnecessarily, maybe bringing something into the building. So the fact that the Jags have been, pretty smooth sailing on that front, JP, I think is a testament to everybody's buy-in as well as the preparation that the medical staff has done.
Let's get back to football now and hear from somebody who's called a lot of Jaguars football over the last few years. Spiro Ditas of CBS Sports. He gives us some logistical challenge for CBS to televise games in the COVID-19 era and his early thoughts on the AFC South.
We're finally here. We've reached at least the starting line of the season, which, that was up in the air as of late.
It's just amazing how this thing has changed. You think back to March, those early few days after we all saw the shocking news that the NBA was going to put its season on hold. I think we all assumed that it was going to be maybe a couple of weeks until we figured out what this was. And then obviously, it just became this just unbelievable thing that engulfed, not only this country, but basically every civilized country in the world. And now, once the NBA started back up, JP, I feel like, there was some hope. But then the question was, well, if the NFL is not going to be able to do a bubble, something that was just not feasible with the volume of players and people and facilities and all those things, how is that possibly going to work? And there was always, I think, trepidation. Well, maybe they'll start, but will they be able to finish? I've been very encouraged by what we've seen with the testing, the first rounds of testing that we've seen amongst teams. I think there was that early kind of bump in the number of positive cases as training camp neared. But these last couple of rounds that we've seen, very encouraging, and it gives you some hope that they'll be able to get through a season. Because my whole thing was, going in, teams will do the right thing. But once, you ask these young players to leave the facility during the season and stay home, that's a big ask for young guys that are just out of college and have a little money in their pocket and want to kind of get out and about in their community. So we're all keeping our fingers crossed and then hopefully hoping that this thing can see its way through.
Spiro Ditas from CBS Sports with us, play-by-play of today's Jags-Colts matchup. I'm curious also of the logistics of putting together a television broadcast. Obviously, we know of the changes here in Jacksonville in our department of everything that's happened. I'm at home doing most of the shows. Everybody's kind of remote now. Are you at the stadium? Are you somewhere else in a studio? Who's with you? Does it change from normal?
We will be in the stadium. We are in the stadium for the game today with Adam Archuleta. We will have our spotter, who is the person in the booth, as you know, who is kind of pointing to who makes the tackle, helping me identify players on the field, and our statistician. Aside from that, the usual people that travel with us, our producer, our director, a bunch of technical people. For the most part, they are all back in New York at the broadcast center at CBS headquarters. The decision was made to just get the volume of people that are traveling and cut that way down, just to kind of go bare bones. There was a stretch, JP, to be honest with you, where Adam and I didn't think that we'd be traveling. We maybe assumed that we'd be calling the game off a monitor at CBS Studios in New York, but we were very happy when they told us that we would be traveling. It would just cause, I think, too many challenges. It's something that we've all done. I'm sure you've done it yourself, but you just lose something. There's a disconnect when you're not in the stadium. So we're happy to be here today, but this is different. I mean, we have called games a certain way our entire lives and careers. This is going to be an interesting experience.
Spiro Ditas with us from CBS Sports. AFC South. All of a sudden, obviously, the last couple of years, they've had a couple of playoff teams out of this division. It's a strong division now. Indy is strong anyway, and then they added Phillip Rivers. Houston just signed the quarterback long-term. They're trying to figure out the defense, I think, just kind of reshuffling things over the last couple of years. And, of course, Tennessee can run the daylights out of it, and they've been in the postseason, got to the AFC title game last year. The Jaguars have lost some of those big names, but they've got a lot of youth and some cornerstone players they can build around. How do you see, at least on opening day, the AFC South shaking up? So if you're into power rankings, Spiro, how would you power rank the AFC South?
Well, first of all, Adam Archuleta, my partner, and I have done so many games in this division. I think at this point we're like AFC South connoisseurs at this point. It's been a lot of fun to see these teams grow, and certainly we've seen Houston in the playoff mix at the top of the division the last couple of years. But now with the emergence of Tennessee and what they were able to accomplish last year, I think the division obviously has changed. Now with Phillip Rivers coming into the mix, as you mentioned, with Indianapolis, it adds a different layer, and I'm fascinated to see how Phillip can navigate this team and new surroundings at this stage of his career. You spend 16 years in one place, 14 as the starter, face of the franchise and all that, and now you're asked to really kind of figure it out with a new team, new coach, new system. I just think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And power rankings, obviously it starts with Tennessee, to do what they did last year, to knock off the teams that they did, basically ending the Tom Brady reign in New England. Then they pull off the stunner, knock off Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, get to the title game in the AFC. It was just kind of a storybook year. And we've spent a lot of time with Mike Vrabel, as you know, as intense a coach as there is. But I fully expect them to maybe take that next step and compete, and we'll see what happens with Jacksonville. Obviously, it's kind of a rebuilding situation there. It's a bit of a high stakes rebuild. I mean, we know that the owner Shad Khan has said that they need to win, otherwise there could be some changes, and that obviously puts the onus on Doug Marrone and David Caldwell, the general manager, to get some results with a roster that obviously is very young and inexperienced and has a lot of holes. So it's going to be a tough year for the Jags, but I think the template is there. I think, JP, you look at a team like Miami last year. They lose their first 7 or 8 games of the year. All the talk, are they tanking for Tua and all that kind of stuff? They won and turned it around with a roster that had probably just as many holes as this Jacksonville team did. So I think the example for Jacksonville is there. Now the question is, what do they do on the field starting today?
Spiro Ditas, CBS Sports. He has the call of today's game with Adam Archuleta on CBS, the Jags and the Colts coming up. Interesting thoughts there. And we've seen a lot of Spiro over the last few years, and he's a fantastic guy and has some perspective certainly on this division. But it's interesting, right? The producer and director and everybody's in New York. They're not even here on site today. The announcers are really the only ones and the folks in the booth. And there are a few technical folks out in the truck, but the actual producer-director that talked to them during the game are not even here. It's fascinating.
It's a completely different world we're living in as far as broadcasting as well. But, again, the NBA's pulled off a lot of stuff with broadcasters that are not right there in the bubble, and it's worked, to me, pretty flawlessly. I've watched a lot of these NBA playoffs. You really haven't noticed, at least I haven't noticed any issues with that kind of thing. So we'll see. I mean, look, it's a world we all have had to adjust to, and, this is just a small thing. I think we're all happy just to have football back, and we'll make the adjustment.
I think we will. And indeed, the Jags have introduced Jags at Home, an interactive second-screen experience on Jags game days featuring Ashlyn Sullivan and Eric Dunn. And each Sunday, you'll have the chance to win $10,000 in cash and prizes. Visit jagsathome.com for more information on how you can play starting today. We're back in a moment with wide receivers coach Keenan McCardell providing his expectations of the wide receiver group going into the season opener. The Colts and the Jags kick off the 2020 season today at 1 o'clock. And from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
I'm Jacksonville Jaguars General Manager Dave Caldwell. Did you know you can ride your bike to every Jaguars home game at TIAA Bank Field and valet it for free? Stop by our bicycle check-in tent sponsored by Alert Today, Florida, near Gate 1 at TIAA Bank Field. An on-duty Zen Cog bike professional will park your bike and ensure it's secure during the game. When the game is over, return your claim ticket to pick up your bike. For cycling safety tips, visit alerttodayflorida.com. Remember, Alert Today, alive tomorrow, because safety doesn't happen by accident. Go Jaguars.
Some things make a house your home. Like clean, fresh sheets that make a bed with the soothing scent of fabric softener your thing. When drying clothes with natural gas, you get faster, gentler drying times, save money, and earn a rebate up to $150. Your home. Our safe, reliable, efficient energy. Love natural gas. Find rebate details at peoplesgas.com.
If something's been hurting, aching, or bothering you, don't ignore it any longer. It's time to take care of your health again. It's time to make an appointment with a Baptist Health primary care doctor or specialist. Call 904-202-4U to schedule a virtual visit or see a doctor in person at a Baptist Health location. The time for better health is here. Call 904-202-4YOU or visit getbetterjax.com.
Jags fans, let's get ready for game day. Now, Jaguars football is back, and we can't wait to be Duval together at TIAA Bank Field this fall. Now, before you head to the stadium, make sure you feel 100%. Protecting the team starts with you, so be sure you've got your mask and you practice social distancing from the parking lot to your seats. Visit jaguars.com/stadium and get answers to all your game day questions. And remember, stay safe, Duval.
Oi.
Bonjour.
Xin chào.
Добрый день.
كيف فينا نساعدكم?
¿Cómo te podemos ayudar?
If you have an accident, the last thing you should have to worry about is a language barrier. That's why at Farah & Farah, we have a team as diverse as our clients. So no matter what language you speak, we'll fight for your voice. Farah & Farah, here for you.
نحن هون للكل. Ici pour vous. Aquí para todos.
Here for all. Jacksonville.
Jaguars fans, Brian Sexton here. I've discovered something that will take your tailgates to the next level this football season. Bernie Grills. You've never seen anything like these portable all-wood grills. Bernie's are convenient, affordable, and simple to use with no messy cleanup. Bernie's real alder wood flavor makes burgers and brats taste delicious. I grilled some steaks on mine the other night, and they were incredible. So get your Bernie Grill for the next game at berniegrill.com or at Amazon. Bernie Grill. Light. Grill. Done.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
Welcome back, JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park Studio at TIAA Bank Field. The Colts and the Jags tee it up today at 1 o'clock for the first time in 2020, and today's game is presented by TIAA Bank, created to serve, built to perform. About 15 minutes from now, we'll hear from Josh Allen, Jaguars defensive end, and he'll discuss with John Oehser his mentality off the field, which carries onto the field as well. His second year coming up. And then Marcus Pollard, about 10:45 or so, joins us as well to discuss the offseason for the Jaguars and what to expect going into today's game. Let's get back to football, though, now. Keenan McCardle is the wide receivers coach. And, you know, in camp, a lot of the conversation was about the depth of this group because they've added two rookies they think can perform fairly quickly in Chenault and Colin Johnson, but they've got DJ Chark coming off a Pro Bowl year, Keelan Cole's around, Chris Conley can play. This is a group they're very confident in outside.
Yeah, look, it's not the most accomplished group, but I mean, DJ Chark did have a breakout Pro Bowl type season last year. Chris Conley had a very nice debut season as a Jaguar. But Dede Westbrook banged up throughout training camp. You've got two rookies who, you know, may be counting on, and I know Keelan Cole had a spectacular camp by all accounts, but he hasn't been a consistent performer for the Jags over the last year and a half or so. So hopefully he's putting it all together. I think there's a lot of potential there, JP, and I think a lot of people already feel that this may be one of the best position groups on the team.
Let's hear from Keenan what he has to say about this position group that has that returning Pro Bowler, some veteran presence, and a couple of rookies that could make an impact.
Opening day finally here. I know the fans are excited. We've heard from the players all week. How about the coaching staff? Keenan, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's opening day. You can't help but be excited. You're looking forward to a new journey for this team. I think every year is a new year. Every year, everybody starts at the same starting line. It's just how you finish. So I'm looking forward to it.
Everybody's 0-0 right now going into opening day, and we'll see what the Jaguars have in store. Let's go into your room, though. Obviously, DJ Chark is the real big star name in that room. Pro Bowl appearance a year ago in his second year. The question I have, though, how real are the challenges for a receiver after such a successful year when defenses might change or shift coverages his way? How, as a receiver, can you overcome such changes?
I think it's a real phenomenon if you're the type of receiver that DJ wants to be in, and he's shown throughout camp. I mean, he has the ability to demand a double team because he can stretch the field. I think for him, I think the growing process starts now. I mean, it's easier when you have single coverage and you're very talented, and I'm more talented than the guy across from me now. Defensive coordinators now are planning you in their game plan, planning how to stop you, and I think now this is where the growth of his game comes. I mean, I think this training camp he's starting to see that. I started to see the growth, and he's starting to see how people could double him and do things, and moving him around is a thing that he's feeling comfortable with now. I think. I think those are the things that he likes. He likes about our offense. He gets different opportunities. He gets to see it up front, right here on the practice field, and he asks a lot of good questions of how would I have played this situation, and I give him my true answer, and guys that I've played with that have been double teamed, and I tell him how they do it, and he's very receptive to it.
Got some veteran players in that room, of course. Chris Conley, who kind of is the guy who has to go get in there and get dirty sometimes in your room with stuff across the middle, and has that speed though to take it to the house. When we saw that a couple times last year. Keelan Cole working his way as the years go on here. How important are those veteran presence? I know Cole's a little younger than Chris, but to have guys who've been around it a few years now with so much youth, and we're about to get to the youth coming up. How about the vets in the room?
Well, the vets in the room are still somewhat young,
right.
but they've had a lot of game experience, so which is good. I mean, Cole has started as a rookie, and his process, his maturation of his growth process has been up and down, and now he's starting to understand why it was up and down, and you focus more as a vet now. The little things mean a lot more to you. I think Chris is a guy that's been in a lot of good games, understand the game very well. He's a very good leader and teacher in our room for the young guys. I think he understands his role, what he has to do on this team to make this team better and to make himself better. And I think that's the part of a vet understanding where he's at in his career and understanding his role for the team. And you know what? Each week your role gets bigger and bigger as a vet.
Keenan McCardell with us, Jaguars wide receivers coach. You've got some youngins this year. Laviska Shenault, rookie out of Colorado. And early in camp, you walk by him for the first time, or he walks by you, and it's like, oh, okay. Now this guy is built a little bit differently. 6'1", 227. And what did you see from camp, and how excited are you? I know Jay Gruden has said, hey, we want to get this guy all over the field and do different things, but how do you balance that with hey, he's a rookie. What can he really handle?
Me, myself, I try not to put a lot of pressure on him because I want him to think clearly as a rookie. You know, the biggest thing for me is to try to keep it simple for him. You know, point A to point B, catch the ball, now let your athletic ability take over, you know, and it's kind of what I did with Dede and Keelan. Let's get to point A to point B, get open, catch the ball, make a play, and then we'll figure everything else out when we watch it, and then you'll continue to grow. And those guys have grown. I think they're starting to grow pretty good. I mean, and I think over in camp, Chanel has said, you know, you made it simple for me, but you know, it's still a lot going on in a rookie's mind because each and every day there's a new install, and then now it's a game week install, and it was a little overwhelming for him, you know, just to see how much a pro team puts in. It's a little bit different from a college team, you know, and he jumped right into it. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing him play. I mean, what I see out on the field is a power guy that once he gets the ball in his hands, it's a dangerous situation for the secondary.
Yeah, not an easy guy to bring down for sure. That was his MO at Colorado, broken tackles and then go 40 yards for a score. Keenan McCardell with us. Colin Johnson, another rookie who kind of burst on the scene in training camp this year, a late-round draft pick out of Texas. But he's huge. I mean, he's tall, 6'6", so he has the height to go get it. How's his route running? How is he in the classroom? And what kind of impact do you think he can make early?
You know, I really think Colin is a super smart kid. He understands how to run routes for a guy his size. I love it because he's a good knee bender. He drops his weight very well at the top of his routes. Surprisingly, has very good long speed. You know, I think people were doubting his long speed coming out, and he has it. Really good hands. Student of the game. I think he never wants to make the same mistakes, which is a sign of a good pro to be. Not a good pro, probably a really good pro to be. And I think you know, he's shown it. He's a very competitive person. So, you know, once he gets his opportunity, it's going to be, you know, he's going to be fine because he understands that every day you step out there, every play you step out there, it's a battle, it's a competition, and it's my job to win.
Keenan McCardell, the Jaguars wide receivers coach. Always good to visit with him and get his mindset on what his receiving core has, at least going into the regular season. Time now for our weekly visit with Jag sideline reporter Rick Ballou, presented by McGowan's Heating and Air. We call it Has Rick Lost It?
All right, football is back. Who would have ever have thought, really in our wildest of nightmares, that 2020 could have gone the way that it has, and certainly there's been a tremendous amount of change. You'll see that today, the lack of fans in the stands. Now, the ones who are here, they'll make a lot of noise, but it's going to be different. You also notice the sideline, no cheerleaders, no Jacksonville. Matter of fact, yours truly, Rick Ballou, will be doing my sideline report from the front row of the stands. That's part of the change that will happen here as far as the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, 16 rookies on the field. That's a significant change. Makes the Jaguars the youngest team in the National Football League. As a matter of fact, only 25 players from their opening day roster from a year ago will actually be playing for the 2020 Jaguars. Something that hasn't changed is the success in Phillip Rivers. 7-2 lifetime against the Jaguars. That includes 24 touchdowns and 5 picks. However, big change for him, he's now with the Indianapolis Colts. As great as Rivers is, bottom line, can you stop the run? The 1-2 punch of Marlon Mack and the rookie and Jonathan Taylor, they will do their best to run the football right down the Jaguars' throat. So, the pressure once again on Gardner Minshew, the second-year quarterback under a microscope. After today's game, the questions will once again continue. Is he the man to lead this franchise into the future? You look around the league, it really doesn't feel like that's the case. They're number 32 right now overall in just about every single power ranking. For the first time ever in Jaguars history, 26 years of their existence, they're an underdog right now at this moment in Las Vegas in each and every one of their 16 games. Now, I do have some good news. The Colts haven't won here since 2014, and the Colts haven't won on opening day going all the way back to 2013. There are certainly far more questions than answers. We'll find out today. Are the 2020 Jaguars for real, or is this club absolutely part of a rebuild?
Has Rick lost it? Presented by McGowan's Heating and Air, proudly keeping your family comfortable since 1974. 904-264-COOL is the number. We're back in a moment on the Publix Tailgate Show. Defensive end Josh Allen with John Oehser. Colts Jaguars at 1 o'clock, and this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
If you've ever been in a vehicle crash, then you know the impact caused by a collision. Now imagine the force of a crash so great, people are killed. My name is Eric. I sat behind the wheel and drove drunk. I caused a crash that killed 2 young women, Megan and Lisa. Now, I sit alone in my jail cell. Megan and Lisa were taken forever, and their families and friends were left devastated. Don't drink and drive, and remember our roadways are connected to our families.
This message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Nothing kicks off your game better than a handful of Georgia peanuts. Power-packed with protein, essential nutrients, and great taste, Georgia peanuts are the MVP for affordability, sustainability, and nutrition. To score life's touchdowns with recipes and fun facts, check out GAPeanuts.com. The perfectly powerful peanut is brought to you by the family farmers of the Georgia Peanut Commission.
Peanuts! Get your peanuts!
Jags fans, let's get ready for game day. Now, Jaguars football is back, and we can't wait to be Duval together at TIAA Bank Field this fall. Now, before you head to the stadium, make sure you feel 100%. Protecting the team starts with you, so be sure you've got your mask and you practice social distancing from the parking lot to your seats. Visit Jaguars.com/stadium and get answers to all your game day questions. And remember, stay safe, Duval.
Why live with foot or ankle pain? If you have persistent pain, numbness, tingling, burning pain on the bottom of your foot, or swelling that doesn't improve with home treatment, it may be time to see Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. Our foot and ankle specialists have innovative new options to help you get back in the swing of things without persistent pain that slows you down. Call JOI 2000 or go to joionline.net for an appointment.
At ViStar, we believe in better convenience, so members can bank any way they want, whether it's at a branch, on a mobile device, or at one of more than 20,000 fee-free ATMs across North America. We believe that people have better things to do with their time. If you believe that convenience is better, join ViStar. We never forget that it's your money. All loans subject to approval, insured by NCUA.
Proven IT implements a strategic game plan designed to streamline your business for maximum results. Make the winning choice with the official business systems partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Proven IT. Proven IT's technology experts use a customized approach to understand how to design, implement, and monitor solutions that optimize your business. Proven IT provides managed network services, document management solutions, office technology, voice and data solutions, and more. Visit ProvenIT.com to see how they can streamline your business. Proven IT, transforming workplace productivity.
The Publix Tailgate Show rolls along. The Colts and Jaguars coming up at 1 o'clock. We're at the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park studio at TIAA Bank Field, and we have Crystal on set.
Does it smell good in here?
It does.
That's the best it smelled in here in all the years I've worked with you.
I see a 24-pack of Crystal burgers. I see Crystal chicks, some chili cheese fries, and some shakes.
Yeah, you see about a 16-pack of Crystal burgers because nobody's waiting once Crystal came into the studio.
There may not be any left by the time we get over there.
They brought us milkshakes, man. How nice are they?
Pretty good. We'll have that every game day here in studio,
Beautiful.
So check them out at Crystal. Be sure to catch the latest archives of all Jaguars.com and Jags radio shows on the official Jags Podcast Network presented by ViStar, including podcast-exclusive content like this from the Ozone Podcast this week. John Oehser and Dave DeCandis are the hosts. They had the Baptist Health connection with a player for this week. with Josh Allen, defensive end, and the conversation went deep into the way he carries himself off the field.
You're a guy who I see before COVID, you would walk around the building talking to people. You would ask them what their jobs were. Very self-aware for a rookie. I'm wondering where that comes from. Have you always been like that? My theory is maybe you weren't a 5-star recruit. You had to sort of prove yourself coming up. Did that have anything to do with that? Just always sort of having to prove yourself and work a little harder?
I'm a social bug, man. I talk to literally everybody. I feel like I'm best friends with the cafeteria people upstairs. They get me right. Mm-hmm. So, I got, so I'm like best friends with them. I know everybody's name. So it's just me being me. Just trying to show people that I am just more than just an athlete, just more than just a football player. I am, a great guy. If you talk to me, I like to have different conversation with people, like with Alex, Brooks. I love talking to Alex. I want to know about his family. I want to get personal because I feel like it's more than just work. It's more than just work. I want to tell you, know you that I'm a personal guy. Like, I want to know how his mom's doing, because it's bigger than just what we do. If you ask me about my family, that's great. I'm grateful. I love to talk about my family. And I feel like guys like talking about their family and just how their day's going. And that's just the type of person I am. And that's just how I was raised.
Before we get into the Jags, which I want to talk about it for a few minutes, one thing I've read about you, and I wouldn't have known it if I hadn't read it. You, as a child, had a stutter. I had the same thing when I was a kid. I still fight it at times. How did that shape you? And because I've read a little bit that you think that sort of shaped you a little bit coming up. And I'm just curious, again, I would never even know it. So obviously it's in your past.
Yeah, man. Growing up, I had a very bad stutter. So it kind of took me a way of learning because I had to get out of some classes to go to my tutoring, stutter counseling. So that kind of held me back a little bit on the learning process. So it was like I was kind of being held back from that. So I tried to work my best, tried to work my hardest to stop doing that. So then that just made me just breathe. When I feel like I'm getting to that situation, just to breathe, take a step back, and just to think before I speak. And just trying to do that constantly during high school. I had a stuttering problem during high school. I still stutter here and there, but once I feel like my mind would just go, thoughts. So I just want to say everything all at once. So just to really breathe, be calm, and just articulate what I want to say. I didn't start to do that until I got to college. I feel like in high school I was still trying to get everything out until I I had to really start writing papers and talking in front of classes and not trying to embarrass myself. I really got back to just breathing, just relaxing, and just taking my time when I speak. And I feel like that's something that helped me out. And that probably could help a lot of people out, but a lot of people have different stories on how they deal with it.
Sure.
I try not to let that affect the person who I was because I still talk to everybody. But it kind of made it a little harder around my peers because they didn't know that I was dealing with that. They thought I was dealing with some other stuff. So it kind of made me separate myself. But I had a big family and I talked to my family a lot, which helped me a lot.
Josh Allen, defensive end with John Oehser, the Baptist Health Connection with a player this week. Baptist Health changing healthcare for good, and that's great stuff from Josh Allen there on off the field issues.
Just a really mature guy. It really seems that Jaguars very fortunate that he was available to them when they drafted last year, took him, and very fortunate that he had a season to kind of cozy up to Calais Campbell and learn the ropes of being a true pro. It's paying off, no doubt.
Now, this has been a busy offseason for Jags Director of Player Development, Marcus Pollard. He's been in the forefront of the Jags players and the organization's social justice initiatives, including the marches over the summer, and working through the COVID-19 environment has been tricky at times. Let's hear from Marcus Pollard.
What's up?
Holding it down.
Virtually. It's a new world we're living in, Marcus. So we're doing this interview over Microsoft Teams, the official platform of the NFL, and I must say it's we're getting it done. Let's put it that way. But it's a good thing to see you. And not everybody that can hear this can see you, but it's good to talk to you again.
Yeah. Likewise. It's been 2020 has been a year from hockey stick. Because I'm telling you, it's been crazy, man. All the stuff that's happened this year. But I'm excited about the season, excited to be on the air with you again. So I'm just looking forward to positive things going forward.
There's so much to get to with the football team. We'll get to that coming up. But I want to start with a real big topic in this offseason for the Jaguars organization, led by owner Shad Khan. It started with a march back in the summer from the stadium to the police station and back, and then a few days later, former Jaguar Leonard Fournette held his march downtown. So the Jaguars have been involved in the social justice initiatives throughout the summer. Now, most recently, they've announced the Get in the Game charge to get people registered to vote. I guess review some of that, the summer that was involving that, and then what might we expect today and moving ahead in the immediate future?
You know, the wake of the untimely death of George Floyd, our team, players, coaches, Mr. Khan was so passionate about what can we do. And, you know, when you're dealing with a bunch of young men who are alpha males, they want to do something right now. And the one thing that they felt like we could do right now, they felt like they could give back and bring awareness, was to do the march. And so our players decided with the actually Coach Terry Robisky mentioned it. And so the players were, okay, let's do that. And so we got T-shirts, Black Lives Matter, and so we got everybody in the organization walk down there, families included. And just to be a part of something like that, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I hope nobody can fact check me, but I say we were the first professional team to do a protest in that fashion. So I was really excited to be a part of something so special. And to have the backing from the owner to the president to the GM and the head coach to say this is something that we're passionate about and excited about doing, and our players has gravitated to doing more stuff. And so excited about what the future holds for our players when it comes to the social justice space and the importance that comes from it. And so we're just excited about, you know, what's to come. You know, our players want to make a difference, you know, both black and white, lock and arm, and seeing if we can make a difference for not just for black people, but white people in general.
Marcus, is there a routine schedule of meetings on this front? How often do you discuss it with the players?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've established a committee consisting of 3 players and coaches, myself, Julian Duncan. I'm calling names that people won't necessarily know, but it's been really cool to be a part of an organization that's really trying to make change and putting people in the position to help with that change, and to be a part of this committee where we have meetings to discuss the voter registration that we talked about momentarily, where we want to make certain low-hanging fruit is what we talk about. Low-hanging fruit is to make certain that everybody in the organization is registered to vote, and to have so many of our players to participate in the PSA and the voter registration and having people register to vote and going to be part of poll workers if we can. I know it's tough in this pandemic, but our guys are really fired up about doing whatever they can to be a part of the voting, to be a part of social change, and to put people in positions to help bring about change. It's been really encouraging and exciting.
Marcus Pollard with us. You mentioned the pandemic, and
Yes.
that has obviously changed everyone's lives throughout this calendar year. I think I've been in the stadium before today. I've been in the stadium twice since March 19th. So everybody else is working at home. You're in the stadium a lot of days. What's it like down there? What is it like working with a football team and players now that are back in, and meeting times and arrows on the floor? It's really a movie set.
It is really, truly a movie set. So upon arrival, you have this big sign on the gate that says, wear your mask. And so that's the first thing you have to do. And then you have to go to the trailer to get both your nasal holes swabbed with this cute
nostrils.
Yes. There you go. Thank you. And so you go through this whole process, and then you have to fill out this questionnaire to ask you, have you had any of these symptoms? And you have to show that once you get a text back. Have to show that to the security guard at the desk, and then you have to pick up this little tracking device that shows who you've been in contact with. You have to wear that all day, and then you have to go upstairs to get your breakfast. Then you have to come back down, and so you have to follow these arrows. And so there's a whole lot of things that the pandemic has caused that cause a ripple, and what would be a normal everyday occurrence to take a back seat. And it's like, wow, this has really made an impact on simple things like just getting into the building and how you interact with people. And so we walk around with these tracking devices on. If you get within 6 feet, they beep red. And so now you're constantly looking at it. Mine's not red. Okay, you need to back up. You're too close.
There's a lot of young'uns in the building now, as they say back home in Alabama, where we're both from.
Yep.
16 rookies, 30 players on this team have played 2 years of NFL football or less. How is it with all these young guys running around, really trying to figure out where they're going a lot of times.
Yeah, the one thing I can say for these guys, when you're young, you're resilient. And that's one thing that I think I'm really excited about. They're excited about playing ball. They're resilient. They're hungry. They're eager to get out and play and learn their teammates and learn offense, learn the defense. You know, like you said, having 30 players under 2 years of experience can make it a challenge in winning football games. But I think with the leadership that we have with some of our older players and the head coach and Coach Marrone, he's very easy for guys to develop and grow.
That's Marcus Pollard, Director of Player Development. We'll come back in a moment. The second hour of the Publix Tailgate Show will have the top headlines of the week, plus first rounds on us. We'll hear from the first time today from our resident first rounders, Tony Vaselli and Jeff Lageman. The Colts and the Jaguars coming up at 1 o'clock, and this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Hanania Subaru of Orange Park would like to present our new dealership with over 13 acres of vehicles to choose from and our new online buying program, iBuy. You decide how much of your buying experience you do online. Browsing, value your trade, picking your payments, financing. Just go to SubaruofOrangePark.com, pick out your vehicle, and click iBuy to begin. Become an iBuy preferred customer at Hanania Subaru of Orange Park, your local Subaru superstore.
This football season, prepare your taste buds for the most iconic sports-watching drink of all time, Pepsi. With refreshing deliciousness specially formulated to keep your eye on the ball and mouth-watering fizziness to help you power through game day, Pepsi has everything you need to start strong.
I used to care when Mike cheered so hard he spilled nacho cheese on my carpet, but thanks to Pepsi, even Mike can't ruin my football party.
So this football season, make Pepsi your go-to game day drink because it's the only drink made for football watching. Pepsi, that's what I like.
Any repeated physical activity puts stress on the body. Checking your phone, getting in the car, sitting at your desk, checking the phone, getting in your car, sitting at your desk, checking your phone for the 50th time today. If you do anything with regularity, you should get massaged with regularity. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Regular body work makes the body work with massage, skincare, and stretch. Come in today for more information or visit massageenvy.com for more details.
Jaguars fans, whether it's on the field or in your finances, the key to success is a solid plan. From high-yield banking to home lending, into retirement and beyond, TIAA Bank offers solutions that can help you achieve your goals and make the most of your money. It's time for a plan. Start building your legacy today at TIAABank.com/Jaguars. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, equal housing lender, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Listen up, sports bettors. Football, basketball, and baseball are all back. And that means it's time to get down your bets. BetUS is the pioneer in online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity, and you need to know you're going to get paid. Call today, 1-800-MY-BETUS, and they'll walk you through getting started. Nobody in the industry gives bigger bonuses than BetUS. Join now and you can get up to 150% in bonuses on your first deposit. Call 1-800-MY-BETUS or go to betus.com.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're hitting refresh now, palm tree swaying now, letting loose now, busting a move now, cranking up the beats now, hands in the air now, feeling free now. You're on Tropic time now. And right now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe, try our watermelon mojito and guava margarita smoothies. And you're tasting fruity now, sipping sunshine now, toasting summer now. You're on Tropic time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
Second hour of the Publix Tailgate Show underway. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey at the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park studio at TIAA Bank Field. The kickoff time today, 1 o'clock. The Colts and the Jaguars get it going. Today's game presented by TIAA Bank, created to serve, built to perform. A little rain in the forecast today, but we're going to play some football today. That's the big story.
A lot of rain on the way in today, and I don't know quite who that would benefit today. You figure the Colts probably want to run the ball with that offensive line as well, but maybe we got our own mutter in James Robinson. We'll find out.
His mutter was a mutter.
His mutter was a mutter.
Right. Let's get to the top stories today, starting with that young football team. 30 rookies in camp, 16 of those made the final cut. GM Dave Caldwell, though, said that Jaguars owner Shad Khan made the directive clear.
Shad gave us a directive to put the best team out there, and we feel like we did that with the players that we have. So we had to do two things in this season and put the best team out there, A, and B, get our salary cap under control. And those are two tough things to do initially at the same time, but we feel like we did a pretty good job.
Dave Caldwell last week, that is a fine balance, right, to get the best team you can, but reduce some cost in the process.
The salary cap's in phenomenal shape. I mean, they have some of the biggest cap space available this year and projected into next year, I think as much as the second best behind the Colts themselves. So on that front, they're in great shape, but, kind of believe that. And I understand why they did it. $15 million at this stage for Calais Campbell is a lot of money, but you're going to miss Calais Campbell on that defensive line.
I believe so as well. The head coach, of course, believes in what this Jaguars team can be, head coach Doug Marrone.
Everyone else will judge what's fair and what I should be looking at and all that stuff. I understand it, but I really think that this team can be special. I really do, and that's what I feel. That's what we put together. I don't have the opportunity to go through a rebuild, right? I mean, we all know that. So that's being realistic. So we've got to go out there and win games, and I'm confident that this football team will be able to do that.
All right. There's not a lot of people counting this team in this year, right?
True.
Now, there's a lot of people counting it out, and Doug Marrone thinks that they can, circle the wagons here and maybe getting something done.
Look, you should feel that way as the head coach, and I hope he does feel that way. And I take him at his word that he does. Look, he knows his team better than we do. There are surprises every year in sports, but there's no question, JP, the projections for this team, I mean, you can't find a power poll that has them ranked higher than 31st in the league. They're in one of the last two spots along with Washington. So power polls mean nothing. This is not college football. Votes don't count. Wins and losses count. So Doug Marrone and his company will be able to determine their own fate on the field this year.
Let's get to the Jaguars defense, starting with today's matchup for the Jaguars against the Indianapolis Colts. The debut for a handful of players on this defense, including the starting linebacker. Todd Wash knows about those adjustments. They've got to stop the run. That's key number one for the Jaguars defensive coordinator, and a lot of new faces to try to get that done.
Obviously, having Miles on the outside instead of in the middle of three with all the traffic and stuff issues that they have, he's more in his natural position, and we already see that. Obviously, the signing of Joe was big for us because he's got such great instincts within the box, know where he fits. He's very, very seldom out of position. And obviously, we got a good edge set with Leon and that kind of stuff in our base package. So I think we got some good players. We got them where we think they fit for us to be able to stop the run. And we've gotten a lot bigger up front. I think that was a big part of some of our issues.
The Joe he mentioned there is Joe Schobert, middle linebacker, brought in free agency. Communication is key, of course. He's in his fifth year, first year with the Jaguars, and the communication went well in camp.
Getting a new defense under my belt, the new terminology, being able to communicate effectively, growing in those strides has been probably my biggest thing. And then once you're able to get familiar, once you're able to get a little bit settled, then you start trying to recognize what the offense is doing and make your own plays within the scheme. I think I've been able to do that step by step as training camp's gone along, got more comfortable, been able to make a couple of plays here and there, and hopefully just keep on building as the season goes along.
All right, a few things on defense here. Of course, the defensive line, especially the interior, is not what they had on paper going into training camp with Al Woods opting out. Rodney Gunter has the heart issue. He's retired. They had to go get Timmy Jernigan in free agency after that in the middle of training camp to jump in there. They've got a draft pick there in Devon Hamilton. Let's start there. Linebackers, you heard Todd Wash there talk about the changes with Miles moving and Schobert in. Secondary is not necessarily young. Well, in the corners they
Wait a
are,
minute.
but they're inexperienced in terms of starting. Jared Wilson's in his fourth year. He's only started one season's worth of games.
Right.
Josh Jones was into camp, and you weren't sure he was going to be the starter until late in camp when Ronnie Harrison was traded. Trey Herndon only started, 3/4 of the games last year. And you have a true rookie on the outside in C.J. Henderson. So there's a lot of questions on this defense, a lot of new faces, some guys moving around, and it's a group that last year just had real struggles stopping the run. That's where it has to start.
Oh, absolutely, and you're right, JP. There's no replacing the guys that they brought in. I mean, you're going to replace them, but they brought them in. Those were the first choices for a reason. And Al Woods, a lot of people were excited about his ability to just be that immovable object in the middle of that line, and with Gunter going, and a lot of other guys that followed, not necessarily as big names or contributions not expected to be to that level. But, look, I have no doubt Joe Schobert and Miles Jack can play if they can be kept clean and if they can run to the ball, and that's going to be the challenge. Are they going to have to take on guards on the second level of the defense because that offensive line is busting through? How is this run defense going to play up front? Is it going to allow these guys to use their skills? And then at cornerback, 4 of your 6 corners are outright rookies.
That's true.
I mean, and Trey Hernan's like a wily vet. DJ Hayden, he's fantastic in the nickel, but that's not on the field every single snap. So they're going to be challenged. And, look, you know how it goes. If you can't stop the run, then you're at the mercy of the opposing offensive coordinator, because then you hit play action, and all of a sudden you start wondering what's coming at you. So it all starts up front. That's where it all comes back to.
You mentioned the cornerbacks, and DJ Hayden has 40 career starts.
Mm-hmm.
The other 4 combined starting secondary players for the Jags have 44 combined starts in their careers.
It's not a lot.
That's not a lot. Though they have a couple fourth-year players,
sure,
and third-year player. But they're going to get out there and start today for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Those are our top stories for today. The Jaguars Game Day radio broadcast is presented by ViStar Credit Union. If you believe no car payment for 90 days is better, join ViStar. A standard feature on new or used car loans, ViStar never forgets that it's your money. Time now for our weekly visit with the guru, David Lamb. And he's back with us this year with Lamb at Large.
Everybody knows how unpredictable the NFL is. It's one of the most appealing things about the league. Each season, divisional races, the teams go from first to last and last to first. Now you have top draft picks, they're a bust. Undrafted rookies become Pro Bowlers. With that in mind, let's take a positive view of how the 2020 season could turn out for the Jaguars. Preseason predictions are awful. They have the Jaguars going anywhere between 0-16 and 7-9. Mostly the Cats winning 3 or 4 games. But what if? What if opposing quarterbacks didn't shine as brightly as expected? Future Hall of Famers Phillip Rivers and Ben Roethlisberger flame out. Super rookies Tua Tagovailoa and Joe Burrow are confused. The Bears, the Chargers, the Browns continue to struggle at quarterback. Those teams become considerably easier to beat. Crazier things have happened. Suddenly it's December, and there's still hope in Jacksonville? Of course, the Jaguars have to step up in almost every area. Some they can control, some they can't. They've got to stay healthy, for example, and they can't control that. Their tight ends have to be more productive. Defensively, if rookies C.J. Henderson and Kayvon Chason live up to expectations, if free agent Joe Schubert is a good fit, if Josh Allen racks up sacks, well, my point is, all of these things are possible, if not probable. The schedule is doable. Count on losses at Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers and at Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. But every other game is winnable if a lot of things go right. The key to, of course, a major turnaround is winning the AFC South. That starts today with the Colts and their new quarterback, Rivers. Rivers tore up the Jaguars as a Charger. Does he still have it? Maybe not. As for the Texans, will quarterback Deshaun Watson feel pressure of a $160 million contract? And how will he do without DeAndre Hopkins catching most of his passes? And, of course, the Jaguars need to figure out how to slow down Derrick Henry and beat the Titans. Is the addition of Schubert the key? I feel like I've written a fairy tale. But fairy tales do occasionally come true in the NFL. That's what makes the league so darn appealing.
The comments of David Lamb are a weekly feature of the Publix Tailgate Show. We'll return with First Rounds on Us, our weekly visit with our resident first-rounders Tony Baselli and Jeff Lageman. The Colts and the Jaguars coming up at 1 o'clock. And from TIAA Bank Field, this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
At Jacksonville International Airport, the health and safety of travelers is their #1 priority. They're doing everything they can to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, from adhering to CDC cleaning guidelines, requiring facial coverings in the terminal, and encouraging social distancing at every point of the airport experience. For a comprehensive look at what the airport, airlines, and their shops, restaurants, and rental cars are doing to keep passengers safe, please visit jacksairportcares.com to learn more.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
Hanania Subaru of Orange Park would like to present our new dealership with over 13 acres of vehicles to choose from and our new online buying program, iBuy. You decide how much of your buying experience you do online. Browsing, value your trade, picking your payments, financing. Just go to SubaruofOrangePark.com, pick out your vehicle, and click iBuy to begin. Become an iBuy preferred customer at Hanania Subaru of Orange Park, your local Subaru superstore.
If something's been hurting, aching, or bothering you, don't ignore it any longer. It's time to take care of your health again. It's time to make an appointment with a Baptist Health primary care doctor or specialist. Call 904-202-4U to schedule a virtual visit or see a doctor in person at a Baptist Health location. The time for better health is here. Call 904-202-4YOU or visit getbetterjacks.com.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
At ViStar, we believe in better, especially in helping build a better financial future for our members. So we've reviewed our offerings from the ground up. We've lowered or eliminated over half our fees and enhanced our already competitive rates, saving members more than $1 million this year, in addition to the millions we save them every year. If you believe that saving money is better, join ViStar. We never forget that it's your money. All loans subject to approval, insured by NCUA.
JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park studio at TIAA Bank Field. The Publix Tailgate show rolls along. Colts Jaguars coming up at 1 o'clock. Farah wants to remind you of the importance of wearing a mask. Help limit the spread of COVID-19. And it's time now for First Rounds on Us.
New York Jets, first round choice. Jeff Lageman.
Jacksonville Jaguars have selected tackle Southern California, Tony Gonzalez.
That's us. Keep looking out for number one.
Well, we are socially distanced, so today at home at TIAA Bank Field, we head to the broadcast booth.
Yeah.
And welcome in our resident first-round picks, Jeff Lageman and Tony Baselli. Here we are on opening day. Who'd have thought this a couple of months ago, guys? How are you?
Crazy, isn't it? I mean, first of all, a couple months ago, I didn't know if we were even going to get here at all. I mean, really. I mean, that's. Credit to the players, credit to the NFL, to each team for doing an amazing job of getting to this point, because you compare, and obviously it's kind of hard to compare college football to where the NFL is at, but nonetheless, still, I mean, a huge undertaking and a job well done.
Yeah, without a doubt. Now he's got to get through 16. I mean, this is just the beginning, and it'll be interesting to see as teams start traveling. It's obviously, the Colts coming to Jacksonville today, and you get into the regular season where guys kind of start. It'll be interesting how they manage it. It's one thing to manage it, off the field during training camp and everything else, but now you're looking at the regular season. It's a great job getting here, but now that we're here, let's get 16 games in.
And I kind of was thinking this week, I was like, it's going to be nice to kind of get to football. Once you get through the first game, okay, now we can just talk about football. That conversation, I think, with COVID-19 doesn't end. I mean, it's a year-long deal, and it's going to have to be managed, and hopefully there's not going to be any significant outbreaks, and we can just talk more ball. And if that's the case, great. And if it doesn't happen, I think the league has put some great rules in place to allow some flexibility with the practice squad being expanded, the rules about bringing players up from the practice squad. And it happened this week with the Jaguars, even though it wasn't COVID-19 related. But I think it's going to give teams the ability to field teams to play on Sundays.
Well, good morning, guys. It's been quite an off season for all of us here, and with that, we didn't get to see the Jags as much on the field as we would have liked. No OTAs, no mini camps. You guys were out there at training camp, and I think there's a lot of mystery to what the Jaguars are going to give us today. So, Jeff and Tony, what do you feel like you do know that this team is going to be good at this year?
I don't know. I can't pinpoint one thing. Like, I have some thoughts, Mike. Like, I think the offensive line, but I've been saying that for years now and been laughed off the show half the time because I think the offensive line is talented as individuals. Now the question is, can they come together and play as a unit, as a group? Jay Gruden sure thinks so. I mean, his comments this week during his press conference spoke very highly of the offensive line, so I have a lot of confidence in that. That's one of the areas I have more confidence in. And then I think the wide receiver group, I like DJ Chark. I think Chark's the real deal, and I think he's going to have a good second year, and I'm looking forward to watching him.
The one thing I do know, honestly, I think there's going to be some bumps along the road. You're talking the youngest team in the National Football League. It's a team that on the final 53, you've got 16 rookies. 4 of them are undrafted. And then in reality, if you count the 55 today, that's 18, counting Nathan Cantrell and Ben Ellison, the tight end. I mean, look, that's an incredibly young roster. And if you have high expectations out of such a young roster, I think that people will be highly disappointed. But I think it's reasonable to have a set of expectations for this team to play well as they move along through the season. And that's kind of my expectation for this team, is for them to get better throughout the year. Do you put a number on the wins and losses? I mean, right now, I don't know if I'd want to do that, but because I want to see the product, that we're going to see out here today. But there's some things you know that Josh Allen is a stud. You know that DJ Chark is a fantastic player. The offensive line should be pretty consistent out of all the position groups that they have on this football team. So that's kind of how we go into it. A lot of unknowns and very little known.
So what would, you bring a good point, Jeff. It's such a young team, and we don't really know what to expect overall. But as you think about on this journey where we're getting ready to kick off here with the Colts, and if you're a fan watching this, what should you kind of be looking for to see signs of like, hey, this is going in the right direction? Because as I think about that, it's about the young players. It's about guys like Josh Allen. I want to see him take the next step and really dominate a game. But will he be put in positions to be able to do that? Can they stop the run? Are they better fundamentally on defense? So those are some of the things, and offensively the same way. It's like, can they do the little things right and make the easy play look easy? And I'm trying to think, like...
I can tell you one thing that you got to look for a young team, okay? Because for me, and I think Doug Marrone talked about it this week, about how, because he was asked the question, are you excited or do you have anxiety about the game? And he said, look, we've worked very hard at a lot of key areas. Protecting the football, not creating turnovers, creating turnovers ourselves, not making mental errors, not having penalties. And so for me, that's a good sign with a young football team if you're clean in a lot of those areas in which you can control. Those are things that it's awareness, it's coaching, and it's about the players paying attention and making sure that it's a priority. And if those areas are good, I would feel good about this team.
JP and Mike, but I'll say this, it's more than anything, you want to know whether this team's going in the right direction or not, it's Gardner Minshew. That's what you have to be looking at.
And that was the nice segue into the next question about the second-year quarterback who, going into training camp, guys, was the starter for this team, and it was the first time that's happened for him, he said, since high school. That's a long time after a long, winding road in college, a bunch of different offenses. Well, now another offense in the NFL as well. What is the expectation for Gardner this year, and what do you want to see today, at least on opening day, from Gardner Minshew?
Well,
Jeff,
you always go back to last year's performance as a judge or an indicator as to what this year's performance is going to be like. Even though Gardner Minshew talked about last year doesn't make any difference on what happens this year, the reality is it does. And so my expectation is we're going to see a similar player to what we saw last year, but he's got to be able to take steps. He has to be able to function better in the pocket. He has to be more willing to stay in the pocket. He has to be more understanding of a system in which he has very little experience in, and that's a huge task to undertake with a young quarterback. And the reality is, in my eyes, watching him in training camp, I thought he had an average training camp. And when you listen to the offensive coordinator talk, Jay Gruden, when he was asked about the offense, and he had a couple-minute answer, and he talked about the offensive line, and that's really where was this conversation about the offensive line, and Tony, you mentioned it, but did he mention his quarterback? He didn't. I mean, and so I don't know the answer to Gardner Minshew where he's going to be at this year. My expectation is he's going to be where he was last year, hopefully slightly improved, and with a new system, there's probably going to be, just like with a young roster, some bumps along the road. But I hope he still plays an exciting brand of football, because that's where the Minshew mania gets created.
Yeah, but that's not what I mean. I don't think that's good for the organization, though, Jeff. If it's just the same as last year, but it's exciting because he does crazy plays and makes it a lot of fun at times to watch, the question has to be answered. I think you have to answer it this year. Is Gardner Minshew the guy you're going to build around? And that's what we have to find out. I'm with you. During training camp, I thought it was ups and downs. We watched the scrimmage out here a few weeks ago. I didn't think it was a great day for him, but that's okay. Maybe he's one of those guys who just, when the lights go on and the game starts, he plays.
What happened last year,
and that's what happened last year. And so I'm hoping for the best, but I don't think just incremental improvement is enough. I think he has to demonstrate, and what I'm hoping for, and I think what fans are hoping for, not that we get excited because of the magic and this craziness that he can do, which is nice, but you come away from this season saying, Gardner Minshew is the franchise quarterback that we feel confident can lead this team to a championship.
I will say this, both JP and Mike, if you've ever set up your quarterback for success, I think Doug Marrone did a really good job of helping that in the offseason with the hiring of Jay Gruden and Ben McAdoo. I mean, these two guys are very respected, and when I say very respected, I'm talking about where they're at right now. Jay Gruden, as an offensive coordinator, was one of the most respected coordinators in the game when he was that. Ben McAdoo, one of the most respected quarterback coaches in the game when that's what he was. So the head coach, I think, has taken steps to help that process along for Gardner Minshew.
All right, guys, ton of rookies on this team. Who is the one rookie you're each most looking forward to seeing his debut today?
James Robinson. Is it crazy? I mean, here we are talking about an undrafted rookie, and I'm excited about watching him, and I'm not even talking about a first-round pick, and there's two of them on this football team. It's crazy, but he's my guy. He's my guy today. I can't wait to see him.
I'm going to give you one on offense, one on defense. Defensively, I want to watch Chase on, and I hope he has a big day, because that means they get the Colts in some obvious passing situations. I want to see him rush the passer. I'm excited to see.
He's got a tough matchup.
I know he does. I want to see him and Allen on each side coming after the quarterback. I'm looking forward to that. And then, when it comes to offense, I want to see Sanal. We've heard so much about him, about the young receiver. He was so explosive before he got hurt. He's big. He's physical. I think it was Keenan McCardell compared him to Anquan Bolden.
Yeah, that's a pretty strong comparison, right?
So I'm excited to see what this guy can do opposite Chark.
I think the one thing, just to add to him real quick, he had over 40 carries in college last year. So,
Wildcat. How about a little Wildcat?
You never know, right?
Oh, you never know. We'll find out here in just a little bit. We'll come back in a moment. We'll have the Inactives. Frank Frangie will join us for fantasy picks. PRI Productions, the Southeast full-service event company, has everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com and learn more. More Tony and Jeff coming up, and it's the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio. Headquartered right here in Jacksonville, the CSI Companies is one of the fastest growing staffing firms in the nation. As a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars, CSI knows how important it is to find the right people for your team. See why some of Jacksonville's top companies choose CSI for their staffing needs. Visit thecsicompanies.com or call 800-582-0828 today. That's 800-582-0828 for the CSI companies.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Brooks Rehabilitation outpatient locations throughout Florida are currently open and accepting in-person and telehealth appointments. They're following CDC guidelines to include screenings, temperature checks, face masks, social distancing, and additional sanitizing of all surfaces. They're taking extra precautions to ensure your safety so you can focus on your recovery. Please call their central intake unit at 904-345-7277, option 3 to schedule your visit. Brooks Rehabilitation is the official rehabilitation provider for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hey Jaguars fans, are you ready to talk some trash? Well, nobody talks trash quite like Waste Pro, the official waste service and recycling partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Specializing in residential and commercial solid waste and recycling collection, processing, and disposal, Waste Pro is equipped to handle all your recycling and garbage removal needs. For service, call 904-731-7288. Waste Pro, caring for communities and caring for Jacksonville.
Slot right, blue 42, hot, hot. A great quarterback is a true leader with a work ethic that never wavers and a desire to win that is second to none. We know a truck like that. Ford F-Series, America's best-selling truck 43 years straight. With impressive towing and payload, Ford F-150 makes tough jobs look easy. Visit your local Ford dealer for great offers on F-150, official truck of the NFL. Based on 1977 to 2019 calendar year total sales.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park Studio at TIAA Bank Field. The Publix Tailgate Show continues ahead of the Colts-Jaguars matchup. Today's game presented by TIAA Bank. Created to serve, built to perform. Inactives are in for the Colts. Mike, what you got for us?
Well, here are your 5 for the Colts today. It's quarterback Jacob Eason, safety Julian Blackman, former Jaguar defensive tackle Eli Anku, Desmond Patman, a wide receiver, and Noah Tongai. I checked the pronunciation guide for that one. He is a backup tight end who will not be suiting up today.
Okay, no word as of yet, as of this moment, from the Jacksonville Jaguars. We will get those to you when they do become official. We welcome back Tony Baselli and Jeff Lageman, and welcome in play-by-play man Frank Frangie. Time now for the Geico Fantasy Outlook. Saving you money on car insurance has been in Geico's playbook for over 75 years. So after the game, get a quote at geico.com. Geico, so easy a caveman can do it. Frank, good afternoon. Good morning.
Good to see you guys. Everything's good. Biggest story of the year once again is for the 7th straight year I did not fire my fantasy general manager. That's the story all over Pro Football Talk and whatnot. But I'm ready for fantasy, JP. Good to talk to you guys.
Who's the reigning champ?
That'd be Tony Baselli.
How did that happen? Yeah. How did that happen?
He walked me down.
Tony got somebody to make his picks.
No, not once.
You know what? I've done that. It didn't work all that well, Jeff. Just say no.
You're still doing it.
Mike, what you got for us?
Well, we're official this year. We're sponsored. Yes. So there you have it. Tony will have the last pick. JP, you were in a tight battle all season long. You're going to go 4th today. I will have the 3rd selection. Yeah, you're going 4th, right. Okay. I'll have the 3rd pick. And quite frankly, I couldn't remember if Jeff or Frank finished in last place last year.
Doesn't really matter.
I flipped the coin. Jeff, you got the leadoff spot today. Right. We take a quarterback, running back, and a wide receiver or a tight end. And, Jeff, you're on the board.
All right, I'm going to start this out right. I'm taking James Robinson.
Look at that. He wasn't afraid. There's a guy not afraid.
First overall pick.
I don't think that's a bad pick, really, though. I mean, he should get a massive workload today, you would think. Frank, go ahead.
I'm going to go with an unknown running back, too, Mike. Give me Christian McCaffrey.
Oh,
Okay.
McCaffrey.
Never heard
Okay.
of it.
All right. I am going to go with Josh Jacobs today. I guess we're all going running backs to start here. JP, you're up next.
Alvin Kamara, new contract.
Alvin Kamara. Tony Baselli, back-to-back picks here. Let's see if he does this right.
I'm going Todd Gurley.
Okay, didn't do it right. He could have saved the running back to his last pick. Everyone else has got one. But it's too late now. All right. So Todd Gurley and who else?
And Cam Newton.
Cam Newton. All right. There you go. Just seeing what would happen there. JP, need a quarterback or a pass catcher?
Give me Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson.
Hey, Dempsey, just so you know,
Yes,
the reason I did that is because I still don't know what receiver I'm picking, so I couldn't pick a receiver.
You were stalling. All
Yeah.
right. Well, that's very respectable. Let's see. I'm going to go with, go a lot of ways here. I'm going to go with Allen Robinson is my wide receiver here. A-Rob. Frank, you got a quarterback or a pass catcher?
How about I do, don't I? How about Russell Wilson?
Russell Wilson it is. Jeff, you get to fill out your team here.
I will take Josh Allen.
Okay.
Quarterback for Buffalo, and then Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp just got that rich deal. Frank, need a pass catcher?
Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas is a good one. Frank's just going chalky all across the board.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Allen Wilson, you guys are reading off my list here. I'm scratching it off. I'm going to go Matt Ryan at quarterback. JP?
Give me Baltimore tight end Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews.
Doubling him up with Lamar.
All right, I like that. And for you, Tony, your last pick.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I'm going to go... I'm going to go DJ Chark. Let's go a little DJ action.
Chark it is. All right, here's what we got. We've got Jeff has Josh Allen, James Robinson, Cooper Kupp. Frank will go with Russell Wilson, Christian McCaffrey, and Michael Thomas. He is the Vegas favorite. I go with Matt Ryan, Josh Jacobs, and Allen Robinson. JP's got Lamar Jackson, Alvin Kamara, and Mark Andrews. Pretty strong squad there. And Tony's got Cam Newton, Todd Gurley, and DJ Chark trying to defend that title.
2 Jaguars I heard on that list, Robinson and DJ.
and Chark.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Okay. Interesting.
There you go.
We'll see if any more Jaguars can step up.
Thankfully, no Colts. We didn't start off on a bad foot.
That would not
Week
be a
one,
good sign. All right, there you have it. The fantasy segment, the Geico Fantasy Outlook. We'll hear from Tony and Jeff in Countdown to Kickoff today in the final hour before today's kick for the Colts and the Jags. Time now for the Frangie File. We visit a little longer with Jaguars play-by-play man Frank Frangie. And here we are, Frank, on opening day. Kickoff weekend is finally here, and wow, it's really tough. Even now, we're an hour and a half into this program. It's tough to believe we're actually going to kick it off in an hour and a half.
Nah, JP, I hear you, bro. And you know what? I'm so excited because we waited so long. It still feels a little weird, doesn't it? It does. The fan part is weird, watching the game Thursday night. But, gosh, it's so good that it's here. The field looks great. The guys are out there warming up. It's been a long time since we've been able to wake up on a game day. And in this city, waking up on a game day is a big deal. It's always going to be a big deal. And waking up on the first game day is really a big deal, JP. So I can't wait to get this thing started. Very excited.
All right, so, Frank, what's going to be different for you this year? I'm just curious from a broadcasting perspective. Everybody's adjusting to a new COVID-19 world. How's that going to impact you guys?
Today, not much, Mike. I think that's obviously a question for next week we'll talk about because we're not traveling, as you know. So we'll be doing it remotely, which many of us haven't done before. You haven't called a lot of games off monitors. I've got some buddies in the world of Major League Baseball with whom I've spoken, and we've talked a little bit about that. So I think next year will feel different. I think for today, there won't be as much of a crowd noise to gauge, right? I think the ebbs and flows of the momentum in the stadium will be a little bit different. We're going to kind of keep our eyes and ears on that. But other than that, Mike, I don't think for today, for the home games, I don't think a whole lot is different. I think it's very similar to the way the home games have been before, other than kind of gauging crowd noise and the momentum shifts that happen in a home stadium.
Frank Frangie with us up in the broadcast booth as the Publix Tailgate show continues. A lot of folks saw the names that were traded or released in the last couple of weeks around here and said, oh, they're tanking. They're not going to be a great team this year. They were going to get Trevor Lawrence next year. But then you ask Dave Caldwell, and the GM, and the head coach Doug Marrone, and the players on this team, and they feel like that is they put together the best roster, even with those moves. That tanking is not a word in this building, I guess is the point I'm going to.
I totally agree with you, and I'm not trying to be a company guy. I've seen teams in all sports, JP, that blow up the roster, knowing for the first year or two they're not going to be very good. And everybody kind of in the building knows that. We've seen it in every sport, right? You might consider maybe that happened here 2013 or whenever. I know it's happened in the past in various sports. I don't believe that's the case here. I think they I think they like their roster. I think they love the culture in their locker room. I think they love the potential of their young guys. Now, because of all that, you got to play a lot of young guys, right? You're in a position now where you've got to play young players who are getting big roles. You don't have a lot of veteran elite guys. You don't have a lot of guys in that locker room that have been to a bunch of Pro Bowls. I get that. But I like the young players. I think they believe in that front office, in those coaching staff meetings and rooms, I think they believe they've got a pretty good team. I think they believe they've got a better team than other people think. I know a lot of people say that. It sounds like team speak. I get it. But, JP, I do believe in this building, they believe that's a better team than anybody outside of that building believes it is.
All right, Frank, people may be surprised to know you follow the Gators pretty closely as well.
I do.
And they, of course, selected C.J. Henderson in the top 10. The Jaguars did this year. So give us your own scouting report. What do you think the Jags are getting in Henderson?
He was a better player 2 years ago than last year. To his credit, C.J. played with a high ankle sprain. He's a good kid, Mike. He's a tough kid. There's games he probably shouldn't have played last year at Florida. But he said, you're not going to keep me out of this Auburn game. You're not going to keep me out of this LSU game. He played with a high ankle sprain. Because of that, he wasn't as active against Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and some of those guys we know so much about as he was 2 years ago. I think if you look back at tape from 2 years ago when he wore number 5, not number 1, if you go back and watch old tape, that's the difference. I thought he was a better player then. I think he's completely healthy. He's extremely fast. He's got great hips. He's very talented. Now, how that matches up against NFL receivers, we'll see. But he's a wonderful talent. He's one of the faster guys I've seen come out of Florida. I mean, of all the guys, he's almost Jeff Dempsey fast for Gator fans, Mike. He can really run. I think he's a very good player. A better player 2 years ago than he was last year. Better player as a sophomore than as a junior, in my opinion. I can't wait to watch him play.
Jaguars offensively, Frank, of course, it's Gardner Minshew's the starting quarterback. We've talked about the offensive line is where it begins, though, to give him the time to trigger it to all these playmakers that we think the Jaguars could have. Pro Bowl wide receiver coming back. Tyler Eifert is here, a guy who's a first-round pick who's had some injury issues throughout his career. They've got some younger receivers that they're really confident in. If they have the time to get it out there to those guys, then there's a feeling that they could really do some damage in this offense this year.
That's the strength of the football team, if you ask me, JP, is those receivers, and the fact that Gardner Minshew is awfully good on Sundays. Maybe one of those guys that's better on Sundays than he was the fourth day of training camp. He's just kind of that guy. I've seen players that are better when the lights come on and you put a logo on the field, and they tend to get better then. So I think Gardner's that guy. I love the receiving core. Now, over the years, young receivers take a year or two to get going. We saw it with DJ Chark. So I don't know how quickly Laviska Shenault will be a star in this league, but I sure believe he's going to be a star in the league. JP, I really do. I think he's going to be a really, really good player. So for me, I think the receivers are the strength of the team. I think Gardner's a better player on game day than any other time. I think his juices just get flowing then. You got to protect him. I'll be interested to see how Jay Gruden plays it this year, or at least this week. A lot of the running backs are hurt. You got a young running back that hasn't played very much. The West Coast offense is very balanced. That's why there's a fullback on the roster now. I'll be very interested to see the game plan from Jay Gruden today against the Colts.
All right, Frank, that's what you're excited about, at least that wide receiver core at the top of the list. What is your biggest area or areas of concern?
Stopping the run, Mike. I could tell you that's 1, 2, and 3 for me. They didn't stop the run very well last year. I thought Al Woods was really going to help them. He opted out. I thought Rodney Gunter was really going to help them in that regard. He had to retire. So now you're playing a group of defensive linemen that you didn't think even as late as middle of July would be the ones you're playing, right? So Avery Jones has to really play. Devon Hamilton's got to really play. He's got to be ready very fast. He's a physical guy. Taven Bryan's got to be improved. Stopping, and I think Joe Schobert helps that. I think Miles Jack playing a more natural position helps it, Mike. But I think stopping the run is issue 1, 2, and 3. If they don't stop the run today, the rest doesn't matter because the Colts will run on them the way they did up in Indianapolis last year. Stop the run. That's my concern. I think it's the biggest key to the game. I think that's what Jacksonville has to do today.
Frank, good stuff. Have a great call today on the kickoff weekend matchup, Colts-Jaguars. We'll talk to you later.
All right, boys. Thanks.
See you, Frank.
Frank Frangie from the broadcast booth. And, boy, we're ready for some football. Finally. I can't believe it.
Amen.
Here we are. Just a little bit away from the opening kick. Still no official word on inactives from the Jaguars, and we will get those to you. The Colts have put theirs out. We'll get the Jaguars when we have them. When we come back, we will hear from the Ozone. Jaguars.com senior writer John Oehser joins us. This season, the Jaguars are launching predictive gaming exclusively in the Jags mobile app. Choose a bingo card, pick your favorite 3 players, and place wagers to win prizes. Check the games out on the mobile app right now. John Oehser, when we come back, network coverage starts at noon with countdown to kickoff, and we're a little over an hour away from week 1. The Colts and the Jaguars coming up from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. This is Jaguars Radio.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're hitting refresh now, palm trees swaying now, letting loose now, busting a move now, cranking up the beats now, hands in the air now, feeling free now. You're on Tropic time now. And right now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe, try our watermelon mojito and guava margarita smoothies. And you're tasting fruity now, sipping sunshine now, toasting summer now. You're on Tropic time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
Why live with foot or ankle pain? If you have persistent pain, numbness, tingling, burning pain on the bottom of your foot, or swelling that doesn't improve with home treatment, it may be time to see Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. Our foot and ankle specialists have innovative new options to help you get back in the swing of things without persistent pain that slows you down. Call JOI 2000 or go to joionline.net for an appointment.
This is Doug Marrone, head coach of your Jacksonville Jaguars, here to tell you that it's time to get in the game. Make your voice heard by exercising your right to vote this November. The ballot is your chance to make a difference. It's your opportunity to make a play. So get off the sidelines, visit jaguars.com/vote to get registered. The choice is yours. The time is now. Register to vote by October 5th and get in the game.
Jaguars fans, let's tackle social injustice together on game days with Selfies for Change. Visit TIAABank.com/selfies for change to take a virtual selfie with a Jaguars player and unlock a $5 donation to the Jaguars Foundation to help fight social injustice. Share your photo on Instagram or Twitter using hashtag Selfies for Change so more fans can be part of the movement. Join us on game days at TIAABank.com/selfies for change. TIAA Bank is the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
Final moments of the Publix Tailgate Show. The Colts and the Jaguars coming up at 1 o'clock at TIAA Bank Field. Today's game is presented by TIAA Bank, created to serve, built to perform. Let's get to a traffic update presented by Geico. Saving you money on car insurance has been in Geico's playbook for over 75 years. So after the game, get a quote at geico.com. Geico, so easy, the caveman can do it. Well, be careful in the wet road conditions today. But as expected, you remember the capacity today is in about 17,000, somewhere in there. So the traffic coming in will be much lighter today as well.
Only stadium in the league with fans.
It is the only one on this Sunday.
Today.
There was Thursday night,
Yep.
but today's the only one in the NFL with fans. So at least As of now, no major delays on the roads coming across the St. Johns River into downtown, so that's good news. Walking to the parking lot earlier, remember every other parking space is allowed, at least on the Jaguars lots, and tailgating is discouraged today. But getting down here, at least at the moment, does not look like much of an issue in terms of traffic, so that's good news.
Yeah.
Now, don't hold me to that. But for now, so far, so good coming down to TIAA Bank Field. Time now for a visit with the Ozone.
It's the Ozone.
Jaguars.com senior writer John Oehser joins us, but of course the Jaguars Inactives has just come down. Let's get to those before we get to Johnny O. Jake Luton, quarterback, sits down today. Dede Westbrook is inactive. Dare Ogunbowale was signed this week as a running back. He's inactive. Luke Barku, the rookie corner, is inactive. Cassius Marsh, senior, defensive end linebacker, out. Doug Costin, defensive tackle. And Tyler Davis was on the injury list this week with a knee issue. He is out. So those are the 7 down for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Johnny O, good afternoon, and how are you, sir?
Good. It's morning. Actually, technically, JP, but
I'm just trying to get to kickoff.
Yeah.
Come on.
Let's
it's afternoon somewhere.
And it's but here we are. I mean, the stadium is it looks beautiful. The lines are straight. So it's we're ready to go, ready to play some football.
John, listening to Jeff Logman and talking to him the other day, he just said, it was an okay training camp, nothing spectacular in his eyes for Gardner Minshew. How do you compare it, though, to how he looked last year when it looked like he wasn't going to be ready for prime time, but then when the lights came on, everything seemed to click?
I'd say it's better. I mean, the scrimmage wasn't good, and that's kind of what everybody sort of looked at the end. He didn't look good in the scrimmage. He had an interception that I'm sure he'd like to have back. At the same time, I always go back to last year when he wasn't very good throughout training camp or really preseason, and then when the lights came on, he was fine. So I guess, he was better than last year, not dazzling, but I didn't really expect dazzling out of him because I didn't see it last year in training. I think he's a guy who plays better when the lights are on and when the pressure's there. So, okay. And I agree with Jeff, and I'm not worried about that.
John Oehser with us, Jaguars.com senior writer. This defense has a lot of new faces, but we heard a portion of your Ozone podcast earlier in this program with Josh Allen, a guy who's coming back off a Pro Bowl year. And with all the moving parts around on that defense, John, and new faces and guys moving positions like Miles Jack, the constant that you can really put a lot of things on the shoulders of is Josh Allen, and the way he approaches his work every day is it kind of carries over, I think, to the field. This could be a big-time season for Josh, it feels like.
Well, I mean, I've been saying it all off season, and I guess since training camp began, I feel it more strongly. This guy's the future of the franchise. He's the guy who's going to be on the cover of media guides. He's, I didn't want to compare him to Calais because he's his own guy. But he's a young version of that. Calais came in as a veteran and was ready. Josh is ready to be the core. He's getting better and better at speaking his mind. This week when he talked about what the city meant to him, what the team meant to him, I thought it was really a step for him saying, look, this is where I want to be. I don't care what other people have said. I don't care about the past for this franchise. He's done it very well, JP, and you've been on the Zoom calls with him. He doesn't want to grab that leadership role, make it look like he's grabbing it. But he also knows, he's not a dumb guy. He knows what's expected of him. He knows his draft status. He's sort of letting it come to him in the proper way. So far, I've just been so impressed in a year and a half of being around him by how he handles it, his humility, I guess. And when you take all that into – he looks like he is absolutely ready to take a huge step. He approaches the game the right way. I've said it a million times. He's the top 10, top 5, whatever you call it, pick that this franchise has been waiting for too long.
And he benefited, John, last year from spending a lot of time with Calais Campbell, and now he'll return the favor with K'Lavon Chaisson. There are different stages, I think, when they came out. I mean, Allen was so productive. I think Chaisson has a lot of potential. What are you expecting out of him in his rookie season?
But what you hope is that he can be good enough where they can't always be focused on Josh Allen. I don't expect a Josh Allen kind of numbers because I'm not sure that Chason is quite as developed as a pass rusher. He's an unbelievable athlete. He looks like he's got the work ethic and the intelligence to develop the pass rush skills that are needed and to work at them and to really hone his craft. Some guys in the past here haven't done that. I think he'll benefit from Josh Allen on that front. I wouldn't say 10.5 double-digit sacks, but I'd say somewhere between 5 and 8, and showing by the end of the year that, hey, this guy's talent is going to shine through at some point really soon. It's hard to be as productive as Josh was last year. That's a rarity.
Jaguars.com senior writer John Oehser with us. Quickly to the opponent today, the Indianapolis Colts, who are a favorite in this division. They had a power running game last year. We saw that, of course, firsthand in the first meeting between these teams in Indianapolis. Then they add the veteran quarterback in Phillip Rivers on top of that in a one-year deal. They traded a first-round pick for a defensive tackle, DeForest Buckner. So when you have those two key moves, John, they feel like they're close to making a run at it this year.
Well, yeah, as Mike Chappell, my good friend from Indianapolis, who's been covering the team for 35 years, said, you don't make those kind of moves if you don't think you're ready to win now. You trade your draft equity for a defensive tackle who's supposed to be ready to go and make you better right now. And obviously the huge move is Phillip Rivers. They've got him in a good spot. He doesn't need to be spectacular Phillip Rivers of yore. He needs to be a guy who can make 4 or 5 throws a game at the key times. He is that, but I think they're still going to want to run the football and they're going to control it that way. So to me, the key for the Jaguars is, you've been saying all along you're going to be better defending the run. No better test than today. You're going to know really quick if they are or not.
John Oehser, senior writer at Jaguars.com. Good to talk to you. Enjoy the game today, and we'll look forward to your writing after the game today.
Well, I'm glad somebody will, JP.
Well, I make one.
All right.
See you, John.
Guys, thanks.
John Oehser joining us from the broadcast booth today. The press box socially distanced as well. That's why Tony and Jeff did not return. They normally have in the years past with Johnny O there. We'll have Johnny O all alone to ourselves in the final segment of the Publix Tailgate show each and every week. So here we go. Colts, Jaguars, a little over an hour away, and we are fired up for some football. That's it for the Publix Tailgate show. We're back with Jaguars Radio Network coverage. Countdown to kickoff gets underway in a few minutes with CBS Sports senior writer Pete Prisco, pride of the Jaguars running back Fred Taylor, and we'll have the final word with head coach Doug Marrone. We're an hour away from kickoff weekend. The Colts and the Jags coming up. And from TIAA Bank Field, this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.